Has to look at this as an opportunity, this tournament, not just this game, but this tournament, but this game first, to silence so many of their critics.
Williamson. And Zedek is going to be on the back for a rebounding foul. George Zedek, the center for UCLA, clearly the most improved player on their team this year, and a man that made so much of a difference, averaged 11 points and 7 rebounds a game. Tulsa press, and UCLA throws it right to J.R. Rollo.
At this point, the team that looks more ready to play, obviously, is Tulsa. They are unaffected, and they're playing like they feel like they should be here, whereas UCLA may be playing with a little bit of nervousness, we should say.
The first 10 points to Tulsa. And Edney is the silencer for UCLA. With a foul. Well, this is exactly, if Tubby Smith could have scripted an opening to this game, this would be it.
Couldn't have asked for a better one. Now, this is Lou Dawkins penetrating. He's the defensive player of the year in the conference, but he also has time to score 12 points, grab 5 rebounds, and penetrate, dropping off to Rollo, who will do a good job throughout the game of making himself available, finding the open spot, the cracks, and having his hands ready and his feet set to shoot.
Well, this is surely will be a score that opens eyes right away.
Oh yeah, this will get some wows. It's always interesting when you hear those scores to hear the reaction of the crowd. This one will get a few ahs.
Well, yesterday, 12th seed Wisconsin Green Bay beat 5th seed Cal. This is a 5-12 matchup as well. Charles O'Bannon, and the freshman, nails a 3, the 39% three-point shooter.
That was good inside-outside basketball. It went inside, came back out to O'Bannon. He was set, shot it with rhythm, and got it to drop.
Ed O'Bannon. And Collier looking to run. Oh, Williamson, great drive in on Edney.
Do you think that he's worried about going down in transition with numbers not in his favor? No. Straight to the glass. He's got a lot of confidence. Look at this. The missed shot by O'Bannon. The long rebound. And then there's Williamson after the outlet. Now, right now, it's 1-on-3. Who cares? I can put it down, and he does.
Tubby Smith, the Tulsa coach, spent 3 years as an assistant to Rick Pitino at Kentucky, as Craig Hernady is on for Tulsa. And you see the early starts of other games running simultaneous to this game. Yeah, Tubby Smith, and the word on Tulsa was Pitino ball. Well, watching some tapes as we did, Greg, we didn't see much of the full court pressure, but definitely up-tempo and lots of threes.
Not afraid to take that early opportunity shot, even though you don't have numbers. Unfortunately for Charles O'Bannon that time, if he could have shot that ball as opposed to passed it, he'd be standing on the line for free throws right now. But the pass off, common foul, ball out of bounds to UCLA.
Almost 4 minutes in and a big start for Tulsa. Nice drive by Edney, and Zedek the finish.
That was beautiful, as Zedek had his hands ready, and we talked about it in our open. Leadership and penetration from Tyus Edney. He had it on that play. UCLA looks to have settled down just a bit.
Lou Dawkins. Lou Dawkins hits for 2.
Oh, the ball movement is just superb, and there's another almost steal by Tulsa. But again, the ball movement just superb by the Tulsa Hurricane right now.
Tarver in the right place. Caught the bank off the boards, and Sean Tarver has his first basket.
Or should I say Golden Hurricane? Well, they got a mascot that looks like a hurricane. He's all gold and everything. I hadn't seen one of those before.
This is the most patient set we've seen from Tulsa so far.
Yeah, shot clock got all the way down to 13, huh?
And Collier said, my turn. So all 5 Tulsa starters have scored.
And there you see the versatility of a guy like Collier. That time posting up, scoring with the turnaround. He can also go from the outside as well. This Williamson is a blow.
Boy, is Tulsa running beautifully. Now back the other way, Charles O'Bannon. To Ed. And that counts in a foul. Well, the shot clock will probably not be threatened very much in this one.
Turn it off. Don't need it. The thing about UCLA, though, they didn't get back well defensively, didn't get back quickly enough, but had the presence of mind, knowing that they had a few players back. They threw it long, got a couple of opportunities to the basket, and O'Bannon's going to get a 3-point opportunity. Eddie O'Bannon.
He's got 3 left-handed players out of the starting 5 for UCLA, both O'Bannons and Tarver. And O'Bannon completes the 3-point play. The brothers combine for a 3-point play that gets UCLA within 9. Look at the Ogden bracket from the West region. California, the 5th seed, is the highest seed out so far in the first round. I think a major surprise there. And the Missouri-Wisconsin game is one that I think, Greg, you find to be a real intriguing game.
Yeah, I do. I like Wisconsin. I think that Michael Finley is one of the top young players in the country. And now that they're all healthy, it could be something quite a bit for Missouri to have to deal with.
There's a tip in. Kawanza Johnson off the Tulsa bench. The best athlete on the team, one of the best likely in this part of the country. And he went up big for an offensive rebound.
Rises up for the big games. Johnson, 14 points, 8 rebounds against Arkansas. This Tulsa team had Arkansas beat in late December, let it slip away.
That was the game that put Tulsa on the map this year. Ed O'Bannon, the basket. Cameron Dollar is in the backcourt for UCLA. And Edney is out at this first timeout. Tough shot by Collier, and Ed O'Bannon, or excuse me, Sean Tarver is called for the foul.
Well, if you're Tarver, your mindset on that particular play is, hey, if you're going to make that shot and it's a tough shot, you're not under control, you're not facing up, fine. I'm not going to foul and bail you out. So something for Tarver to think about next time.
And this is going to be a tough match because I would think Gary Collier hadn't seen very many people who can play him the way Sean Tarver can. Really, Tarver makes it very tough to penetrate at all. This guy, you talk about rising up for the big games, and the Arkansas loss that Tulsa had around Christmas time. Collier, 30 points, 14 rebounds.
He was huge. And in fact, Tulsa out-rebounded Arkansas as a team by 13. That to me was an incredible stat, because when you look at Arkansas, they are big, they're strong, they're fast, and I just don't see many teams being able to do that, at least by that margin.
Washington State up early on Boston College. Rafael Maldonado is in for Tulsa. Big man in the middle playing against Rodney Zimmerman of UCLA. Good rebound, Charles O'Bannon. And then it's out off Collier, could not corral it. Well, Charles O'Bannon has come out. In fact, both O'Bannon brothers have come out strong here for UCLA. Very active on the offensive boards. Give and go, Dollar to Zimmerman. That one spun halfway down and came out.
That was a good recognition play by UCLA. They didn't call it, they just went to it. A pick and roll, oldest play in basketball. Zimmerman just unable to get the roll, but that type of activity will spell dividends later on.
Long 3 by Seals, a line drive, and he nails it.
Yeah, he's not nervous. He's the newcomer of the year in the Missouri Valley Conference. Shot that ball, excellent rotation, line drive type shot, but straight in.
Maldonado with a block shot.
You're right, UCLA very tough on the offensive glass right now. They're going to have to continue to be.
That is one of the strengths, I think, of Ed O'Bannon, one of the great rebounders in the country. Very competitive player. There's a walk on Dollar. UCLA now knows if there was any doubt in their minds about this game. There should be none now as Tyus Edney and Marquise Burns are in.
Also returning for the Bruins is number 25, George Zidek.
There's some thought that UCLA coming here to Tulsa, or to Oklahoma City, excuse me, but hearing all the talk about Tulsa would be ready, knowing that Tulsa was a good team.
You just can't take anybody lightly. I mean, the fact that you don't know teams is reason enough to be very concerned as you enter this tournament. And hey, our Clark Kellogg lookalike, he's in the game. Rafael Maldonado, number 50 for Tulsa.
And Collier's three rattles out. Zidek rebounds. I think Clark got up and down the floor just a little bit faster.
Oh, I'm talking about from neck up. Neck up.
Clark wants to make sure you say that. Good high crash by Dollar, and he's fouled.
Boy, the offensive rebound, you talk about New Mexico State, the team we saw earlier, that being their best weapon. Well, so far for UCLA, it is their primary weapon. They're very tough in that department. Hey, there's Clark Kellogg's look-alike. You know, they say everyone has one.
Number 5.
You need to get some wire rimmed glasses on to be sure. Cameron Dollar going to the line for UCLA.
Well, if he could be half the player Clark was, he'd be a jewel.
Cameron Dollar has had a lot more playing time in the last few weeks for UCLA. Has been able to take some of the playmaking responsibilities away from Edney.
Also returning is number 42.
Now Dwayne Bonner and J.R. Rollo are in the game for Tulsa. Tubby Smith will substitute frequently, making sure he has fresh bodies in to play the up-tempo. First point for Dollar, 27-15, a 12-point Tulsa lead. Tulsa played 3 big non-conference games this year, lost them all. They lost to Oklahoma State by 12, lost to Arkansas by 2, and then lost to Oklahoma by 19. Maldonado, nice catch from Rollo.
Yeah, that loss to Oklahoma was right here in this building. The day prior, they won by 19, beating Texas Tech, then lose to Oklahoma by 19. So they've got mixed emotions about this floor.
Good breakout by Dawkins. Look at that, he'll take the 3.
This team has a lot of offensive freedom. Tubby Smith limits very few players.
Edney going all the way in. Well, UCLA's had some good shots spin out, and the ball will stay with Tulsa. What a pace, folks. If you like up-tempo basketball, this is your game.
In our New York studios, watching the games along with you, Tulsa and UCLA, and we're going to give you a sense of what's going on in the tournament this afternoon. And let's start in the Southeast. Tennessee State and Kentucky. Kentucky in a timeout there. They're in the white jerseys.
Yeah, they're up by 5, but I feel like Tennessee State has a chance to pull a big upset. They're very explosive. Carlos Rogers is a surefire top 15 pick in this year's draft, and they've got 4 guys that average double digits. And because Kentucky presses, you typically, if you can make shots and basketball plays, are never really out of the game.
15-10 is the score there with 11:50 left in the ball game, and Kentucky shoots the 3s, and so do the Lobos. They're tied with Virginia right now. Virginia in the white jerseys.
Well, Virginia is a team that really struggles making baskets. They shot less than 40% on the year as a team, but they force the opposition into sub 40% shooting too. They bang you, they're physical, and they're very tough defensively. But I would think if New Mexico can stroke it from the perimeter, they've got a chance to maybe pull a minor upset.
We welcome the West to our coverage today, and so we have 4 games going on, and the other one is in Landover in the East region. Boston College and Washington State. Washington State in white jerseys, and they've gone on a 12-0 run.
Well, they're a balanced unit, but I would think that the experience of BC, the fact that they're predominantly a senior team, they can shoot it from outside, they're good defensively, and they've got some inside presence. The thing to watch in this game is, can Boston College win the free throw game?
There you see the score, 24-17 with 9:49 left in the first half. Let's send you on back now to Tulsa and UCLA.
Score stayed frozen since the timeout. Tulsa by 14. Seals way short. Charles O'Bannon challenged that. And Edney goes in. And Dollar touched that ball while it was, Burns touched it while it was still on the rim. And it will come back to Tulsa.
On this particular play, that's Edney showing that he can get up and down the floor very quickly. Just didn't finish the deal. I think UCLA's defense, by the way, is stiffened. They're forcing Tulsa into some tough shots. All they have to do now is just clean up, get the rebound, and go in transition.
Collier turning. Gary Collier. Tough shot. He has 5 points. Edney going in. And a charge on Tyus Edney. And that is 2 fouls early on UCLA's point guard.
Sometimes as a point guard, you look for that penetration. If you can get it, you may need to pull up. Too many point guards try to take it all the way to the basket. Big guys come over to try to block the shot, or someone steps in and draws the charge. You've got a turnover. If Edney had pulled up on that play, shot the little soft J from about 7 or 8 feet, he probably would have been better served that time. Another tough shot.
Rollo hits it.
George Zedek with the hands up. At this point, you got to beat him, belt him to the spot. You got to deny that position inside. Rollo was too comfortable walking into that post area that time.
Tarver. And Zedek's called over the back for a rebounding foul. And that's his second. So now a couple of UCLA starters have picked up 2 fouls, and there's still 9 minutes and change to go in the first half. UCLA does not have great depth, and if they lose a starter or two to some foul difficulties, even though it's still reasonably early in this game, coming back from a big hole will not be easy.
Well, now you look at UCLA zone defense. Obviously trying to protect their inside players, not get any more unnecessary fouls, but if you're going to play zone, you better extend it. You recognize who the three-point shooters are, who can hurt you, and you make sure they've got a hand in the face.
Now you start thinking, if you're Tulsa, don't wake us up, please.
Oh, we love the way things are going.
A miss by Ed O'Bannon. Hustle, and that's off Seals. It'll stay with UCLA. A 21-point lead for Tulsa.
The thing right now with UCLA is the hustle department. You see 2 and 3 Tulsa players going for a loose ball. They're quicker to the ball right now. They just seem more energized, and UCLA is going to have to catch up in that department, or the lead is going to get even larger.
Ed O'Bannon for 3. Seals, quick out, and running up the floor is Dawkins. Oh, a big-time play by Ed O'Bannon, and now Dawkins out of bounds. Well, to come out of that with nothing is a great defensive play by Ed O'Bannon. Tulsa by 21 over UCLA. A bit for Jim Herrick with this kind of start. One thing he knows, his team can score points extremely quickly. So in the first half.
Yeah, he doesn't want them to panic at this stage, but they've got to certainly turn up their intensity. Turnovers right there, and UCLA hasn't scored a field goal in 6 minutes. Things to be concerned with.
It's not so much the fact that Tulsa's scoring, it's that they're not. Zedek, good position, and that one does drop.
Yeah, he had good low position. Good play out of the timeout that time by UCLA. They worked it inside, and Zedek, as you said, very improved. Got the shot up, and that breaks their drought.
UCLA will probably figure Tulsa's going to cool down eventually. But when they do, we better be able to make some of our shots. Collier hits a 3.
Well, you know, I noticed on the opposite side as the ball was being swung that Collier wasn't being played closely enough. He's one of the guys on their team that can shoot it from the perimeter. I think you just have to make sure he's got a man in his face all the time. The same with this guy, Seals.
Biggest factor yesterday, California shooting just 34%, losing to Wisconsin Green Bay. UCLA right now shooting just 26% and only 1-3.
Well, a little bit out of Zidek's range there, perhaps.
Williamson, that is 3 more. 11 points for Boo Williamson, and Tulsa leads by 25.
You know, Ted, we talked about this yesterday. Of all the teams in our little region down here, we said the greatest amount of pressure would be on UCLA because of all the criticism that has been heaped on them throughout the season, plus the fact they're playing a very loose Tulsa team, a team with absolutely nothing to lose, everything to gain, and right now is proving a huge obstacle.
Also checking back in is Raphael.
Foul on UCLA, and this will put Tulsa at the line in a 1-and-1. And funny, watching yesterday's practices, again, it looked like Tulsa was the team that, having not been here before with this group of players, that looked tight. They've played, just like you described, Greg, they're playing as if they have nothing to lose. Tennessee State might be doing the same thing to Kentucky.
Yeah, they shot us a smoke screen yesterday. They weren't giving away any cues.
And there's a big blow to the Bruins. George Zidek sitting with 3 fouls. 1-and-1 for Collier. That hurts UCLA. Not only has Zidek been an improved player, he's been an Iron Man because Rodney Zimmerman, the backup center, has had a bad back the second half of the year, has not played much. And in fact, Jim Herrick will go small here.
Yeah, Zimmerman, very important to this team, injured that back just prior to the Notre Dame game, and you're right, hasn't been the same player at all. Taking away depth from a team that doesn't have a lot of it.
And Jim Herrick now is going to try to match up more with UCLA, or with Tulsa.
Look at this, quicker to the ball. Loose ball, Tulsa's getting most of them.
Kawanza Johnson fouled by Ed O'Bannon. This is getting to the point where even though it's the first half, you have to be concerned. You're starting to look at 30 points down. Now, Kentucky proved this year you can do that in a half. They came from 31 down, but this is not necessarily the time of the year you want to be trying that.
Yeah, I don't prescribe that. Certainly falling down by 30 points and then trying to come back.
Number 23, Johnson.
It has been done, but you can count the times probably on one hand in the last decade.
Kawanza Johnson went to Kansas on a track scholarship out of high school. Then chose basketball, played junior college ball before coming to Tulsa. Right here in his hometown, Oklahoma City. And now Tulsa leads by 29 points. A 19-2 run by the Missouri Valley Conference regular season champions.
At this point, UCLA doesn't have an answer. They look about as befuddled as any team I've seen this year.
Ed O'Bannon. Well, it's going to be Ed O'Bannon and Edney that will fuel them if they can come back. And here's Ed O'Bannon again. And he's fouled. And it counts.
Maybe that can give them some emotion. You know, he's their emotional late leader. And right now, he's fired up. He's a little tired of the way things have been going. He's going to get 5 quick points here if he can put the free throw down. And who knows what type of effect this could possibly have on the rest of his team. Seeing him hustle like this and stay with it.
He's their, I think, their fiercest competitor. He's the guy that just, you know, they have T-shirts on today, refuse to lose. And if any one player on their team, to me, exemplifies that, it's Ed O'Bannon.
And if you're Tubby Smith of Tulsa, you still got a 24-point lead. You just hate to see that happen, though. You hate to see them score 5 quick points like that because you never know the impact that it could have.
Lou Dawkins. Well, is he having a half? 9 points for Lou Dawkins. Ball tipped from Ed O'Bannon out of bounds to UCLA.
This may be Tulsa's best half of the season, and if it is, what a time to come up with it.
If it isn't, I would not want to be the opponent they played better against than this. Man. This makes you wonder how they lost in their tournament. Lost in the semis to Northern Iowa. Cameron Dollar.
You're right.
With the driving basket.
Some token pressure being applied by UCLA. Maybe a little bit stronger than token, but handling it as they have most everything UCLA, as they have with everything UCLA has tried so far. Tulsa doing a good job.
Marquise Burns stepping it up into Lou Dawkins. George Zedek sitting for UCLA. Their starting center out with 3 fouls. Sean Tarver's also been down for a while. And they go right over Dempsey to get a rebound. Collier set his feet and hit a 3. 13 for Collier.
Give Collier the basket, give Williamson the assist, but give the hustle for the rebound and the second opportunity to Rafael Maldonado in the game, making a contribution.
Dempsey. Kevin Dempsey, and that's something UCLA could use. He is a long-range shooter. It has to be hard, Greg, to not get into a panic mode in the first half when you face this kind of a deficit.
Yeah, it's so easy to want to knock the deficit down with 1 or 2 shots, but at UCLA, you've got to start thinking in increments here. What do you want to be down at halftime? Okay, we were down by 25-26. Maybe if we can get it back to 15 by halftime, we're in good shape.
Ed O'Bannon running the break, and Burns finished it. Now Dollar going to be called for a foul. Cameron Dollar's first.
UCLA foul called on Cameron Dollar.
There's O'Bannon way up for the rebound. Spiritually trying to lift his team, getting the assist right there. UCLA running in transition. Problem is they just haven't had many opportunities.
Greg, that play shows you something too, because O'Bannon pulled the rebound down and didn't give it to Edney. He had Edney right there to run a break, and he said, no, I'm going to take it.
Yeah, I'll do it myself. If you're not going to do it, I'll do it myself. And again, it's that competitive attitude that's coming out right here, something that the rest of his teammates need to adopt.
3:58 remaining in the first half, and Tulsa has scored 52 points. They are shooting 61% from the floor.
They average 82 points a game. They're going to probably be sitting near 60 unless UCLA does something in this last 3 minutes, 58 seconds.
So Collier makes both. He has 15. This score is correct, folks. Of 17 children in a family in Southern Maryland. When he could get the bathtub, he says he loved it so much he would spend an inordinate amount of time there, hence the nickname.
Tubby. That's one of a few that we've heard.
Tyus Edney with a floater. Just his second basket. Bonner was down court, and Burns put some pressure on the ball for UCLA. Tulsa could not spot him.
One thing Tubby Smith did this year was play one of the top 20 schedules in the country, and I think that is helping him in this particular instance. This team is not in awe of UCLA at all. In fact, they're dominating right now, playing as if they're the team with all the tournament tradition and not UCLA.
Shot clock running down to 5. Rallo has to put it up.
Now that's the first time we've seen Tulsa have to go against the shot clock. But of course, you look at their lineup now. Seals is on the bench. Collier's on the bench. Dawkins is on the bench. They've got guys in now just trying to hold the fort.
The block, Ed O'Bannon. Rallo stripped. Bonner hacked. Well, I would think, Greg, that right now somewhere in their hotel here in Oklahoma City, Nolan Richardson and his Razorbacks are watching this saying, yeah, we saw this before this year. We know why they're playing well.
Oh, yeah, no surprise to us. And even with the bench in, you still got the hustle going. There has been no drop-off in that particular area. Getting the loose ball, getting repeated opportunities, and now getting to the line for Tulsa and Mr. Bonner.
Number 22,
Wayne Bonner, a sophomore from Dallas. The only NCAA tournament game Tulsa has ever won. 1955, of course, they went to the tournament 3 times when Nolan Richardson was their coach in the early 80s. Leading UCLA, the 5th seed here, by 24. Ed O'Bannon, he has scored 12.
He's the one player for UCLA whose effort has been consistent.
And I think it will be. O'Bannon twice this year, 19 rebound games. That's the competitiveness that comes out when UCLA needs it.
So this is a time where if you're UCLA, you would hope that you could really knock down that lead a little bit, because some of their primary players offensively are on the bench.
Hernady, and there's a big rebound. O'Bannon hitting the deck. Tarver.
Good fast break basket that time by UCLA. Keyed by good defense, because they forced a very tough shot.
Tubby Smith now is getting Collier and Dawkins over to the table.
I think Tubby, his mindset is that we played great in this first half. We want to take at least a 20-point lead into the halftime locker room. There's the tough shot by Hernady. The tough, aggressive rebound by Ed O'Bannon. Transition basketball, UCLA. Again, they've done this on occasion in the first half. They just haven't done it consistently enough.
'29 was the biggest lead for Tulsa. That's a big one.
That's a big one. That's why I said if UCLA can get this lead down to 15 or anything below that, they'd almost have to consider this a victory, considering where they come from.
Wayne Bonner with the rebound for Tulsa. After Burns headed a 3 for UCLA. And a reach-in foul on Cameron Dollar. Coming up, Pennzoil at the half. Pat O'Brien and Clark Kellogg will have live tournament action, as well as scores and highlights from other games played this afternoon.
That's his 2nd personal foul. The number 50,
And I'm sure we'll hear Clark give you his opinion on your statement. He looks like Rafael Maldonado.
Well, I tell you that. That Clark looks like that young. I mean, he looks like that now, so I guess it's safe to assume that, or to say that Clark looks young for his age. Or perhaps Maldonado looks a little old for his. I don't know.
Well, in one of those facts that is almost too bizarre to be true, Lou Dawkins, playing here for Tulsa, steps to the line. Lou Dawkins' middle name is Alcindor, named by his parents. He was born right after UCLA won his 3rd straight national championship, with then Lou Alcindor as the center. And his nephew talked the parents into giving Lou Dawkins the middle name Alcindor. And here he is playing against UCLA.
And playing big. Tough shot. Backboard. Defender on that play.
But Charles O'Bannon got it back.
But loose ball again, Tulsa. Story of the first half. Quicker to the ball, much more active, much more confident.
Maldonado will get to the line. Foul is on Tarver of UCLA, his 2nd. UCLA, I would think, is going to need the halftime here, Greg. Tulsa probably wishes they didn't have one. UCLA said, we need it.
Yeah, you don't want to stop this kind of momentum if you're Tulsa. But the way they're playing, I can't see much of a drop-off. Confidence level, very, very high.
Rafael Maldonado from Killeen, Texas, did not play basketball until his junior year of high school. He's a redshirt freshman now in college, so this is still a new activity for him.
Already, Tubby Smith has played 10 players, letting everybody get a feel of this and feel like they've been a part of it, feel like they're contributing.
Rebound, and now Tulsa can hold it for the last shot. Nope, they go up to Dawkins.
You know, they've had several players breaking long throughout this first half. They just haven't looked down the floor enough. They did on that play, and hey, just like that, 23-point lead. Loose ball again.
And here's one more.
He's got time.
That is the capper on an astonishing half of basketball at the Marriott in Oklahoma City. At halftime.
Wow, I'd like to be in that locker room at UCLA. We'll switch over to the Southeast region. Tennessee State giving Kentucky a game. Here's Vern Lundquist and Dan Bonner.
Carlos Rogers' godmother leading the cheers among the Tennessee State Tiger faithful as the Tigers have taken a 1-point edge over Kentucky, and the Wildcats will play for the final shot of the first half. Man-to-man. Tony Delk, there's Rogers again. Oh, boy. Riddick's basket puts Kentucky back on top as the half ends.
By Pennzoil, the motor oil you can rely on for performance, protection, and quality.
Oklahoma City, second half underway. Tulsa leading UCLA by 25 points. The 12th seed leading the 5th seed. And Collier missing the first shot, but got his own rebound.
See, once again, showing a little bit more hustle, a little bit more activity, Tulsa. And if that continues, then of course UCLA will not win this game. They've got to have a huge turnaround, and Tulsa has to have a huge let down for UCLA to get back into this.
And obviously, Greg, that's the question. What does it take? UCLA has a little over 19 minutes to try and come back. How much energy do they have to expend already in the first half just to stay in the game?
Well, here's the big thing right now. I think a key point was late in the first half. The lead was 18. UCLA was looking at an opportunity to get it back down to 15. Did not do it. It went back to 25. For them, that was a huge downer to take into the locker room.
Tulsa with a blistering half, shooting the threes well. Threes has been a weakness for UCLA in their losses this year. And Tubby Smith's team, despite playing that up-tempo, only 4 turnovers in the first half.
That really says something about their attention to taking care of the basketball and keeping those turnovers to a minimum. You know, a lot of times you see teams come into that first game struggling, little nervous. Well, there was none of that. None of it with Tulsa. They came out fully ready to go, full tilt.
Charles O'Bannon from Collier. And Charles O'Bannon with 5 points.
Good play right now by Jim Herrick to force the pace a little bit. Try and get something going. Get your guys a little more active with the full court press.
Seals way off on that shot. Edney calling for the ball. He's going right in. Charles O'Bannon back up. And Zedek with a tip.
Finally, some multiple hustle by UCLA pays off. Lead down to 21 now. Plenty of time.
UCLA has a couple of things that they can draw on right now. Of course, the Kentucky win that we mentioned in the first half. Down 31 this year in the second half, coming back to win. Also at Pauley Pavilion about a month ago, UCLA was down 19 points to California with just over 3 minutes to go in the game. Down 19 and actually got to where they had a shot to win. And I think the best comeback I had seen that by UCLA's team that I'd seen in years by anybody.
Well, they showed that if you just continue playing, sometimes you can catch a team napping and turn the momentum in your favor, turn it very quickly. I am very sure, knowing coaches the way I do, that that's something that Tubby Smith talked about in the halftime locker room, cautioning his guys to not come out, not take anything for granted. You still got 20 minutes to play, and you must play hard as you did in the first half.
Two misses by J.R. Rollo.
It certainly helps, and now UCLA with a chance to get it into the teens.
And they do. Ed O'Bannon with 16.
Officials warning UCLA to let the ball drop out of the net. Don't touch it. Tulsa trying to get it out quickly so that they can go.
So in the first 2 minutes of this half, UCLA has shaved 6 points off the lead. If they do that again in the next 2 minutes, they'll be right back into things. That's a foul on Charles O'Bannon.
UCLA foul called on
Boston College getting back a little closer to Washington State. Very big game for Boston College. The 4 seniors they have finally getting to the NCAA tournament. They like to make some noise. Charles O'Bannon playing Shea Seals and Ed O'Bannon playing Gary Collier. Tarver playing Lou Dawkins. Collier missing a 3. So Tulsa has only scored 1 hoop, 2.5 minutes of the second half. Edney, and there's a foul. Williamson called for the foul. In the Southeast in Lexington, Purdue's Glenn Robinson, another outstanding game. They get tested by Alabama. Mar and Greg, I think the 4-5 game there, that's going to be an outstanding game with Wake and Kansas.
Oh, absolutely.
You'll be shooting 2 shots.
Wake kind of a team that was very quiet this year. They were in the shadow of Carolina and Duke, but had a solid year to get a 5th seed.
They beat Carolina twice.
Maldonado checks in for Tulsa. He replaces Rollo.
Now Rollo sitting and Rafael Maldonado back for Tulsa. Well, last year UCLA led Michigan big. They had a double-digit lead over the Wolverines much of the game. Michigan came back to win in the second round of the West region. Roles reversed for UCLA this year.
Well, they've extended their defense a little bit. They look a little more active on the defensive end. And I think that's a large part of the reason now that they only trail by 18. They've won this half so far by 7 points. They're off to a fine start.
Edney, Ed O'Bannon tried to hit Charles, and he probably should have shot that ball. And Ed O'Bannon kind of yelling at himself, running back down the floor. Collier gets it going.
You know, as a defensive player, you're taught to get back to the paint, run back hard to the paint, and then find your man. But ever since they put this 3-point stripe on the floor, you can't do that. You got to run back and then start locating your man around half court. When you're guarding a guy like Collier, you can ill afford to let him come in transition, set up, and shoot a wide open 3.
And that is a huge call right there. Toughest call in the game, and a big one. It goes against Seals of Tulsa, his 3rd. If it goes the other way, it would have been Zidek's 4th.
Well, some question as to whether Zidek was there in time, but you don't have to always be stationary when that contact occurs in that situation. UCLA getting the benefit of the call, and I've noticed that they're starting to get a few calls here in this second half.
Kwanzaa Johnson and Shea Seals going on. That's why that call, which is so difficult, but it means so much as it impacts the game. If it goes the other way, Zidek has to leave. Now Seals is going to sit for a while for Tulsa. And there's going to be a foul. Cameron Dollar crashing. UCLA 6th in the nation in rebound margin, now rebounding their opponents by 7.5 a game. Tulsa was not far behind. They're an even 7 a game better than their foes. Dawkins lost the dribble. Dawkins fouls to slow down Burns. Dawkins, I believe, is all right. Tulsa leading by 19.
The Women's Final Four coming soon on CBS. Exclusive coverage of the first round of the NCAA Basketball Championship is sponsored by Chevrolet, Budweiser, and by Dean Witter.
Okay, this was that turnover a moment ago by Tulsa. Lou Dawkins with the dribble. Now at this point, you got to see the double team coming. Here it is. Instead of dribbling behind your back, you want to pass the ball up. But they're dribbling with it, keeping it alive too long. Dollar gets the strip away. Burns on the double. Dawkins on the floor. UCLA with the ball and the momentum.
A little over 4 minutes gone second half. Tulsa had a 29-point lead at one time in the first half. It's now 19. And a good rebound. Maldonado clears Ed O'Bannon's miss.
Yeah, kept it up high too, did Maldonado. Therefore, no one low could strip it away. Tulsa taking his time, being very patient. A lot of their momentum has been lost. A lot of their continuity has been lost.
Maldonado clanging one there. And here comes Dollar, 3-on-2. To Edney, and that'll count with a foul.
Well, Dollar has been a spark. UCLA using the full court pressure. Dollar's been a big part of that. Came down that time. I thought for a moment he had dribbled himself into trouble. Look at this. Head down, has the reverse. But hey, he has court vision. Nice drop off there to Edney. And Edney now with the three-point play. UCLA could pull to within 16 points.
And this is the closest UCLA has been in a long time. And the funny thing is, you say 16 points. Wow. Everybody feels a little nervous in here. You look at the Tulsa bench, they look a little nerved right now. But they're still up by 16.
They're still up by 16, but again, they know that there's plenty of time on this clock. They know that UCLA has the momentum, renewed confidence, and that they're struggling, and things can turn very quickly. Just as they were able to win that first half by 25, who's to say UCLA can't do the same thing here? Second half.
Edney, no. Look at again the big crash and a good swat out. Lou Dawkins made that play.
He sure did. That's heads up. That is heads up. So many players go up, try to get the rebound with the two hands themselves. Sometimes when you can't get it, it's smart to slap it to a teammate. Look at this, up high. Everybody trying to get a hand on it, but Dawkins just slaps it down to the Tulsa end of the floor. This type of thing could reestablish control and momentum for Tulsa.
Jim Herrick taking Ed O'Bannon out for a rest, brings Charles O'Bannon in. Ed O'Bannon just called for traveling. Tulsa with 7 points so far in the first 6 minutes of this half, but Johnson got in. Johnson again, blocked by Charles O'Bannon.
Oh, Charles says, hey, you got to get that out of here. You got to come stronger than that. Dollar likes that little reverse pivot.
Here's Dawkins. Johnson. Good break by Tulsa and a pretty pass by Lou Dawkins.
Lou Alcindor Dawkins. He sparked this team now. It's his two plays most recently that has reestablished control and a 20-point lead for Tulsa.
George Zedek hitting the deck hard. Foul. The 5th team foul on Tulsa. 3rd team foul on Lou Dawkins. 3 on Lou Dawkins. Now Zedek going out, and Ed O'Bannon comes right back in. And Rollo back for Tulsa, replacing Maldonado. 13:40 to play. Tulsa leading by 20.
And number 41, Craig Hernady.
Tubby Smith also brings Shea Seals back in. The older players, if we want to call them that, Dawkins, Williamson, Collier played a much bigger role. Seals, the freshman today, a little quieter. There's a three. Marquise Burns.
Well, Marquise Burns, along with Dollar, really giving UCLA some strength off of their bench, especially as they look to pressure full court and take Tulsa out of a little bit of its rhythm.
UCLA shooting now just under 30% in three-pointers. In their losses this year, UCLA's lost 6 times. Their three-point shooting in those losses barely over 20%. That has been their one serious Achilles heel.
Well, you look at the second half, and you can see the confidence and semi-dominance by UCLA. Obviously, some of the things Jim Herrick said at halftime sinking in.
That's a held ball. Seals had that ball out there, and it was held just long enough to get the whistle and an arrow to UCLA. Well, the pace of the game had suited UCLA a little bit better, too. It has not been a runaway racehorse game that Tulsa thrived on in the first half.
You're absolutely right. They're doing a much better job, especially keeping Tulsa out of his half-court set.
Sean Tarver hits a 3, and the Bruins just are creeping back.
They're doing this just the way you have to.
Oh, and there's a foul, and if that's on Edney, and it is, that is the 4th foul on Tyus Edney. He pleads his case, but that is a critical foul.
Well, that's the jeopardy you run when you're trying to pressure all up and down the floor. Now, that's a big part of the reason that UCLA is back in this game, but now they've got to probably send Tarver to the bench. Or, excuse me, Edney to the bench, and that's going to hurt this team. Make no mistake about it.
That's as big a call as the one that went the other way when Zidek could have gotten his 4th and didn't. Here, Edney on a very close call gets his 4th. Boston College now the lead. And Kentucky up 5. Mexico, a 10 seed, up on Virginia.
Well, Edney's going to stay on the floor. Obviously, Jim Herrick saying we can ill afford to take him out. The game hangs in the balance, but he's got to play smart now. And look for Tulsa to try and exploit that. They're going to go right at him, get him on the bench if possible.
I'm sure that's what Pooh Williamson was thinking right there. Here's Charles O'Bannon hitting it. Well, it is 12, and there's still 12 minutes to go.
Chubby Smith says, hey, we got to talk about this. He's up screaming for a timeout. He'll get it. But UCLA is a different team here in the second half.
You can see it on his face. He has run the human race.
Has cut the halftime lead from 25 to 12. And at the beginning of the game, we talked about Tulsa being the team that really had nothing to lose today. And now in the second half, it's UCLA playing like they have nothing to lose. They're supposed to lose the game, down 25 at the half.
Yeah, things have changed because for Tulsa, there's plenty to lose now. You blow a 25-point lead, that stays with you the rest of your life.
And Hernady lost it, and that's going to be a foul on Tulsa. Taken away by Burns. And UCLA's defense really getting up in the faces of Tulsa now.
Well, their pride, once again, is resurfacing. You know, UCLA, the Bruins had to be embarrassed by their first half performance. But they've come out with renewed life, and I think you have to give a lot of credit to Ed O'Bannon because it was he who had a little bit of lifeblood, and now he's put some zip into his Bruin teammates.
Ed O'Bannon, 16 points, 9 rebounds, but it's right now Marquise Burns. Well, that hurts, missing a front end. UCLA showing life here in the second half. They've outscored Tulsa 22-9. Down 25 at the half. The Bruins are now within 12.
And as comfortable and as confident as Tulsa looked in the first half, well, they have struggled that much here in the second half until that right there, a long bomb by Gary Collier, the NBC player of the year, and there's a foul on UCLA, so Tulsa's going to keep possession.
This has a chance to be 5 or maybe a 6-point play. The foul is right there on the screen, and it's simultaneous to the shot, so the shot counts.
UCLA had been doing a very good job of keeping Collier covered until right then, and then that's something that Tulsa desperately needed because they had lost control of this game.
Collier, their leading man, 21 points now. Charles O'Bannon has done a very good defensive job on Shea Seals. Rollo had about an 8-foot shot there, didn't take it. That does, and it goes with a foul for Collier.
You said 5-point possibility, make it 6-point possibility, and just like that, UCLA, who looked ready to get the lead into single digits, now looking at the possibility of it creeping back up to 20 points. Give a lot of credit to Gary Collier. He's not the player of the year for nothing in the Missouri Valley Conference.
Gary Collier at the foul line.
He had 30 points, 14 rebounds against Arkansas, and he's on his way to that kind of game against another nationally ranked team. 24 now for Collier.
Keep in mind, Edney handling the ball right now for UCLA, playing with 4 fouls. And could have drawn one right there as he went in penetration.
This is the bracket here in Oklahoma City. The winner to play Oklahoma State. Tonight, #1 seed Arkansas plays, and a good 8-9 matchup with Illinois and Georgetown. Another UCLA foul. We still have 10.5 to play, and the Bruins are starting to pile them up. That's Tarver's third.
Sean Tarver, number 21. That's his second personal, and the 7.
Correct that second on Tarver.
Tarver's in good shape, and if you're UCLA, you know you're going to get fouls because right now you have no choice but to pressure up, and obviously when you're pressuring and scrambling all over the floor, you're going to commit fouls. But by pressuring, UCLA has become more active. You don't see Tulsa getting every loose ball, every rebound where there's a scramble. UCLA is starting to get their hands on a few.
Kentucky opening up an 8-point lead now. Here it is Tulsa by 18. And Ed O'Bannon has scored 18 for the Bruins.
Well, they got a man long if they look up.
Ed O'Bannon's there, though, and he stops Seals.
See, that's the thing that has not been exploited against UCLA's press much today. Tulsa's had a man open practically this entire afternoon. They just have not looked down floor to try and hit him very often.
Now Ed O'Bannon, another indispensable part for UCLA with 3. Zedek has 3. Edney has 4. Still 10:21 to play. This is when I start to think, Greg, again about how much energy UCLA has already had to expend being in such a deep hole right off the bat, and what's left in the tank. There's still 10 minutes to play.
Yeah, you always have to consider that, knowing that full court pressure does take a lot out of your team. It begins to take its toll. And psychologically, if you get it down to 12 and then all of a sudden it jumps back up to 20, emotionally it's draining as well.
Now it's Tulsa putting the pressure on. Ed O'Bannon.
That was a very nice way of attacking the pressure by Edney and UCLA. Edney, you notice, under control that time, not in jeopardy of getting a charge.
Williamson gets it right back. 19 for Pooh Williamson.
Yeah, and Tulsa back in the attack mode now. They're going after this pressure as opposed to being content to just set up and work a half-court offense.
Edney looks like he's loosening up a little bit. Didn't look like the same player in the first half. Back spasms hampering Edney last weekend. Shea Seals gets the loose ball for Tulsa. They haven't won as many of the loose ball battles in this half. Well, they didn't challenge Seals at all, and the freshman buries it.
Once again, it's just so important not to lose your concentration. Whomever's guarding Seals, whomever's guarding Collier, those two players must be guarded out on the perimeter.
Oh, great job by Dawkins. Went up and took that ball from Tarver. beginning to look more like the first half.
You're right. This game has had plenty ebb and flow.
Tulsa led by 29 in the first half, 25 at halftime. UCLA knocked it down to 12. And the Bruins will keep the ball here down 18, but now the clock starts to become much more a factor. 8:41 remaining. 3 changes for Tulsa and 2 for UCLA. So they'll get Dollar and Dempsey back in. Tyus Edney now is going to sit.
UCLA had done a good job to get the lead back down to 12. It gets back up to 18. At this point of the game, I think the next 3 minutes, 41 seconds are critical for UCLA. They've got to pull it back as close to 10 as possible, because you know at the 5-minute mark, look for Tulsa to start using that clock, which will be their ally. Zone defense right now by Tulsa.
Charles O'Bannon up, and that drills around and out, but Charles O'Bannon is fouled. Well, coming up here in Oklahoma City tonight, we have an outstanding game, 8-9 matchup between Georgetown and Illinois, and that will feature the early primetime coverage tonight on CBS. Also, some of you will see Drexel Temple, Texas Southern Duke, and Boise State Louisville. Oklahoma State won here earlier today. They'll play the winner of this game on Sunday. It's amazing. 3 coaches in this region that have coached 2 teams here into the NCAAs. Nolan Richardson, Arkansas and Tulsa. Lou Henson, Illinois and New Mexico State. Eddie Sutton is the 3rd man, Arkansas and Oklahoma State. Maldonado in the game now for Tulsa. Dwayne Bonner handling the ball.
Maybe a little too much, almost dribbled himself into trouble over along that baseline and sideline area. But Tulsa already starting to use a little bit of the clock, but the shot clock now at 5.
With a big rebound by Johnson, and he is fouled.
See, that's tough, because they came down, took 33 seconds off the shot clock. Took a tough shot. UCLA unable to finish the deal by collecting a defensive rebound. Tulsa now with an opportunity to extend on their lead.
And George Zedek now has to go. That's his 4th. So 2 UCLA starters, Edney and Zedek, 4 fouls apiece.
He's been shooting 2 shots.
Sometimes your role players have to come up big to win big games. Kwanzaa Johnson had his career high for Tulsa, 14 points against Arkansas this year. Now he scored 8 today.
Yeah.
He only averages 4 a game. Tulsa by 18. The Tulsa Golden Hurricane jumped right out from the beginning, scored the first 10 points of this game, led by 29 in the first half, 25 at halftime. They've shot their threes well, and they've withstood 1 UCLA run in the second half. Now the question remains, does UCLA have another one left?
You saw the 9 3-pointers made by Tulsa, and one of them smack dab in the middle of a UCLA run that really cut off their momentum and helped Tulsa to regain control, putting them to where they are right now, looking to run some clock and just hang on.
Well, there's a critical turnover. UCLA had a chance to put a little run together. Bonner. Tulsa's not stopped attacking. That's one good sign. Neither is UCLA, though. Charles O'Bannon gets it down to 13.
UCLA can ill afford to, and you're right, Tulsa at this point, 6:55 to go. They've got to continue playing. They're going to need some more points. They're going to need to be under control, and you see Tubby Smith going back to his bench.
Tarver now playing Collier. Collier's got to be feeling it a bit. He's been out there a lot today. Off ball, they get a foul.
Pushing hard is Ed O'Bannon to his brother, Charles O'Bannon. Good catch there. That ball had some sauce on it, but he caught it and still had the balance to go up and get it off the glass.
Number 21, Shea Sills, and number 44, Lou Dawkins. Returning to the Bruins is number 11.
Ed O'Bannon, 20 points and 10 rebounds. He is 5 assists as well.
Trying to do everything right now, including lift this team from an emotional standpoint by example.
He'll be shooting 2 shots.
Gary Collier shooting 2. The foul was against Sean Tarver, and it's his 4th.
Well, he's delivered. You know, when you get into these championship games, you hope that your good players can elevate a little bit more their game, and that your unsung players can possibly come up with an effort that perhaps you didn't expect. Well, this guy has certainly delivered. Averaging 22 on the season. He's up to 26 now, and he's hit a number of big shots just at the time Tulsa has needed them, especially when UCLA threatened to get back in it.
Dempsey hoping to find a hot hand, and he crashes too strong and fouls. And every UCLA foul now gives Tulsa an automatic 2.
Now it's called on Tennessee, number 30 of UCLA. That's his second.
The fronts of the shirts say refuse to lose, and I must admit, don't ever remember seeing a UCLA team with shirts and slogans before, but that's how strongly they felt about this day. They still have 6:20 to play, but Tulsa is making things awfully tough.
They really are, and you're right. I was a little bit surprised to see that, but clearly that is an indicator of where things are with UCLA. There is definitely a sense of urgency in Los Angeles. A lot of heat coming from prominent alumni Bill Walton, and Jim Herrick saying that it is a distraction, but something that we can't be concerned with. Herrick, as you indicated, 20 win seasons, 6 years in a row, NCAA appearances, 6 years in a row. That'd be great for a lot of schools, but at UCLA sometimes it's just not enough.
The Bruins firing away, trying as the clock goes under 6 minutes. And just playing volleyball up there before Seals finally pulls it down, and a foul called on UCLA.
Boy, was that ever a symbolic sequence for UCLA and the way things have gone for the most part today. Repeated attempts at the basket, not able to get anything to fall down, and then the foul, which will put Tulsa back on the line.
He replaces Dempsey.
Dempsey sitting, and Marquise Burns in to replace him.
Shea Sills at the foul line. He's got 2 shots.
If Tulsa makes some foul shots and protects the ball, it's going to be hard for UCLA, even with their talent, to come back from this kind of hole.
Tubby still coaching, knowing that it's not over, but wishing it were.
Seals trying to swat his own miss free, does not. 13 points today for Shea Seals. Where UCLA all around the glass, and finally Charles O'Bannon puts it in. Dawkins, a blocking foul.
That's just a good job by Tulsa. You know that they would like to be able to spread it and use the clock, but anytime an opportunity presents itself, like right here, you get the ball pushed up, now you got numbers. You're 2-on-1, you go hard to the glass. You can't really turn that down. You got to go aggressively. You don't want to kill your own confidence and momentum. You're right, though. They've got to be able to knock the free throws down, and if they continue to do that, then your UCLA will not be able to get back.
Lou Dawkins, Defensive Player of the Year in the Missouri Valley Conference this year. Don't you think right now Tulsa's thinking they'd love another shot at Oklahoma State? They're 5-24 from that, but they miss a couple of foul shots.
It's about the only way I can see UCLA getting back in at this point. If they can continue, Tulsa that is, to miss the free throws.
Burns hits a 3. Well, that's a big swing. 2 misses at one end and a 3 at the other. So now it's down to 12 and the Bruins steal.
This is as close as it's been in this half, but hey.
There it is.
10 now, and it's been a long time since it was 10.
Well, the 2 missed foul shots by Dawkins opening the door and UCLA taking advantage. Here's Seals to Dawkins. Blocked by O'Bannon.
Very, very fortunate that O'Bannon wasn't able to block that against the glass. He blocks that against the glass, the ball stays in play. Perhaps UCLA gets possession, get a chance to knock it down to 8. Tulsa's coming unglued once again.
And the Bruins are still alive. In Oklahoma City, first round Midwest region action. UCLA down to 1 timeout. But the Bruins are still alive. Just a moment ago, they appeared to be in the intensive care unit. But Ed O'Bannon, their spiritual leader today, with a huge day. Tulsa with the ball. The lead is 10. This is the closest UCLA has been since the early moments of the game.
You know, at this stage of the game, UCLA can afford to sit back and try to play honest defense. No need to gamble. No need to take unnecessary chances. They're going to get plenty of more possessions. They just need to come away with a defensive rebound after forcing a tough shot.
Williamson way short, and the Bruins get it.
They use their pressure to get back in the game, to get back to where they are now. Now they can settle down and try and win the game.
Of course, UCLA has a couple of guys keep people out there with 4 fouls. Edney and Ed O'Bannon among them. Tarver in, gets it to go. This is the closest UCLA has been since it was 17-8.
Look at
Now
this.
We've got a foul off
It's
the ball.
off the ball. Off the ball, and it was a hold by Edney, trying to keep Williamson away from the basketball, from getting the inbounds pass. That is huge.
And that is the 5th foul on Tyus Edney. UCLA's junior point guard has fouled out off the ball, 3:52 to play.
See, the problem there is that he did that right in full view of the official. I saw it. I didn't know if it was going to be called. He's very, very upset. But you have to pick your spots when you're going to do that. And really, at that point, there was no need to do it. His team's back into this game.
Edney fouling out with 10 points. Tulsa, no foul difficulties at all. Their problems are making the foul shots. And Pooh Williamson at the line for the first time today makes 1. He is a 78% foul shooter. Well, it's a 9-point game. 3:50 remaining. Dollar and Burns in the backcourt together. Tarver up for 3. And it's rebounded by Johnson for Tulsa. And a foul called on Charles O'Bannon.
Right here, if you look at the middle of your screen, you'll see Edney and Williamson. Right there is the hold. Look at this. Right there, he's holding. And the official is right off to the left, getting a clear view of it. Pretty much an easy call.
Edney wouldn't agree with you.
I know he wouldn't. I know he wouldn't, and it's very disappointing for UCLA because he was a big part of the good things that were happening out on the floor for them right now.
Meanwhile, Kwanzaa Johnson, one of those unsung players, doing his job. He averages 3.8 a game, and he's now scored 10 today.
And he hit 2 big free throws right there, and he is a 54% free throw shooter, so he came up big when he needed to.
Ed O'Bannon turning. Look at him wrestle his own rebound back. He is doing everything within his power to make sure his team stays alive.
Yes.
That's the thing. I've seen Ed O'Bannon do that several times this year. He's just a wonderful player to watch. So is Collier.
You know what? Not bad defense that time by Burns, but just the sheer athleticism and scoring attitude of Collier, a little too much to deal with on that particular play. That was a tough shot he knocked down.
Seals. Williamson missing, and Ed O'Bannon clears it. And that's going to be out to UCLA. 2:37 remaining. And Tulsa leading by 11. Points have been a little tougher for Tulsa in the second half. They've had to resort to a lot of foul shooting.
The thing I'm sure Jim Herrick will say, if in fact UCLA does go down to defeat, is guys, if we had come out with the same effort and intensity that we had in the second half, the first half, we would have won this game. Of course, that'll all be too late because their season will be over.
Ed O'Bannon has 13 rebounds in this half. Fighting there, and he kept it alive for Dempsey.
Yeah, that's right. Give Dempsey the point, but again, O'Bannon just keeping a finger on it, keeping it alive. Dempsey getting the retrieval and putting it back in. Here's Collier again.
And he's big. 30 points for Gary Collier.
These are pressure shots he's knocking down, too, because each one is an attempt to stave off the comeback attempt of UCLA.
Ed O'Bannon now with 26 and 16 rebounds. Now foul on Tarver. That will be his fourth.
Foul is called on Sean Tarver, number 21. That's his fourth.
You know, Ed O'Bannon reminds you just a little bit of Walter Berry. Remember Walter, the left-hander, St. John's? Very tough inside, always active.
That's what surprises you. And here's O'Bannon, a young man that missed an entire year. He had the anterior cruciate ligament knee injury, and he still has great active legs inside. You would think he might have lost some of that.
You're absolutely right, but no remnants of that at all in his play.
Tulsa using the lead to their advantage to build up a huge edge from the foul line. And now, for the first time in a long time, this crowd really starting to make some noise as Tulsa hits 100.
Well, they were pretty loud early, but then when UCLA started to come back, they became afraid. And they sat down and they stayed quiet, and they made Tulsa, the players on the floor, weather it by themselves. But now they're starting to sense that they're going to advance, and they're going to possibly be looking at Oklahoma State and Big Country Reeves.
Shea Seals, or actually Kwanzaa Johnson, called for the foul. Winner here to play Oklahoma State on Sunday. Tonight, Illinois and Georgetown is our first game. Arkansas, the #1 seed, will play the second game against North Carolina A&T.
Ed O'Bannon at the foul line for UCLA. He's got 2 shots.
A lot of pride in Oklahoma basketball being taken here in this regional. They've sold this building out well in advance, and 2 teams here from the state with a lot of Oklahoma players.
The number 13, Charles O'Bannon, returns for the Bruins. He replaces Dempsey.
And in a minute and 36 seconds, you might have an all-Oklahoma matchup here Sunday. Collier throwing the long pass to Dawkins. Tipped by Tarver, and it's out off Dawkins.
Baseline. And a little shoving going on.
Action.
He's got 1 shot left. His 3rd foul.
1 seconds remaining now at the Myriad. Tulsa leading 103-96. And UCLA staring now right in the face of a crushing first-round loss. Well, not all of them are staring at it. And Gary Collier, who has led the way for Tulsa with his 31st point. A Tulsa team that was one of the last at-large teams to make the field. They did not win their conference tournament.
Well, Tubby Smith said they wanted to come in and show what they were made of, show the type of team they're capable of being in. And they've done that. They will get plenty of notice having knocked off UCLA.
Dempsey to Tarver for the basket. 7 points. UCLA 1 timeout left, and Tulsa takes 1. Now they are down to 1 timeout. 38.8. Tubby Smith and Tulsa leading by 7.
Okay, classic cars.
63 Veg.
Split wheel.
Right.
68 Camaro Super Sport.
GTO, any year.
Nice. Gran Torino.
Starsky and Hutch. Good car.
65 Mustang Ragtop.
It's obvious.
75 Pacer.
Tail fins.
Bumper bullets.
Bench seats.
Drive-ins.
Boss 302s. 427 big block LED8 with an 850 double pump.
Beechwood aged Budweiser. Crisp, clean, classic. Examine this carefully before you buy your next car. Not just because it has standard dual airbags and starts at under $11,500, but because this is the Geo Prism, and 98% of the people who bought a Prism would recommend Prism to a friend. So before you buy your next car, foreign or domestic, call 1-800-GET-TO-KNOW and get to know Geo Prism. Your friends would.
It's 5 seconds to play. We're tied
in Oklahoma City and Boston College and Washington State all tied up with 5 ticks on the clock, ready to go back into action. Here's Greg Gumbel and Bill Raftery with the call.
From the free throw line.
4 times they tell us he's won games, but never from the charity stripe. Now Washington State right away has to think what they want done. They've got to get the ball probably into Harris's hands, so BC has to counter, try and keep it out of his hands. The push, 5 seconds, plenty of time, no timeouts left. They can get a good one.
Two-point lead. Harris throws it up. He had more time than that.
Sure he did.
And it's Boston College ball with 1.2 to play. Harris launched that one before he got to half court, and he had more time than that remaining.
Well, you're going to have those things happen when you are as good as he is. You like to make the play to help your team win.
Huckabee inbounding, and there's a foul call against Washington State. And that'll send the teams to the other end of the floor, and that should lock it for Boston College.
That hurts Boston College. The clock hasn't moved. They walk to the other end. Can still, if he makes one, tie it with the 3.
Bill Curley punching his fist in the air at center court.
Tony with the floor speed, the ability to dribble. I think he could have centered this one, gotten himself in position, or even make a pass to a teammate.
Howard Isley's first free throw today.
You've got to match up if you're BC. And
Yes,
first, I think you can throw it to half court or the nearest man turn and fly. You may get one.
Desperation time for Washington State. 3-point lead. Hendrickson, life of the court, won't even be close, and the Eagles advance.
Here at the Myriad in Oklahoma City, the Tulsa Golden Hurricane, the 12th seed in the Midwest region. Regular season champs of the Missouri Valley Conference at large bid, and they are about to pull off a stunning upset of the 5th seeded UCLA Bruins, a team that was the #1 team in the country the last week of January.
Key thing, they came out ready to play. They came out enthused, got a huge lead, 25 at halftime. Second half, make no mistake about it, UCLA was a different team. Tulsa went a little bit conservative and pretty much had to hang on, but they had enough to weather the new intensity that UCLA was able to come out of the halftime locker room with.
The most points ever given up by UCLA in an NCAA tournament game. MC goes in. UCLA has one timeout left, but there won't be much need for it. And here on Sunday, Tulsa will play Oklahoma State. They met each other on December 20th on Tulsa's home floor. Oklahoma State won the game by 12 points. Meanwhile, for Ed O'Bannon, nothing but frustration, as not only have 3 California teams now lost in the first round, but it's about to have 3 Pac-10 teams losing in the first round. The first foul shot good by Shea Seals. Did you ever think that anybody would score 110 points on UCLA in a tournament game?
Certainly did not anticipate this. But again, when you look at the start that Tulsa was able to enjoy, 63 points in the first half, you could almost sense it then.
And O'Bannon lets Seals go in. 20 points for the freshman. And the Tulsa Golden Hurricane, the second 12 seed to beat a 5 seed in the first round. A stunning upset over a team that was #1 in January. Our final score, Tulsa 112, UCLA 102. Now to New York and Pat O'Brien.